Okay.
All right.
All right. Okay. Welcome to Fringeworthy Team 6. And this week, and our players Chen Wei, played by Ken, and Jason, played by Jason, and Angel, played by Kaitlin, and Mike.
Gandalf.
No, it's Gandalf.
Oh, Gandalf.
Yeah, Gandalf, played by.
And
And we don't
salutations.
know where Mike is,
And
played
Mike,
by Chuck.
played by Chuck. Okay, and I am Bruce, your game master. Right now, they are exploring a world where apparently, right around the 1400s, there was that instead of the Catholic Church breaking up with the Eastern Orthodox Church and
Well,
going into about 500 years of fighting amongst each other, they instead remained unified and basically took over the planet with the unified Catholic Church. Um, this has some big ramifications, which our team has yet to truly understand, which is why I'm not going to summarize it. But I will say that essentially, Catholicism, the Eastern, I'm sorry, the Western Catholic Church has essentially taken over the entire world, and other religions are either gone or they're suppressed, except in one small area, which is called sanctuary, where people over the last 100 years or so have been basically surreptitiously fleeing, uh, you know, the, the the Catholic Church, to this place that no one seems to know where it is. It's underground somewhere, and there they're allowed to conduct their religions as they wish, and they think that the team members are actually a part of a group that was in a small survivalist type group that have come up to the surface now, and they brought them into sanctuary. Now, something that is of interest is that at the time, in the 1950s, the Earth's population had swollen to 25 billion people, and as such, they were engaging in some very decisions as far as how to keep people alive. What's a person's right to live and things like that. And just when it was probably getting to a real boiling point, well, not mysterious, but a scientist by the name of Zamboni came into front saying that he had a solution to everybody's problems, which was to increase the surface area of the planet by 3 times. And how is that possible? He took all using a standing wave technology. He took all the oceans on the Earth and pushed it up into the atmosphere, so that they could move down into the bottom of the oceans and live there and spread out from there. But strangely, in the long run, that didn't happen. They did move out there, but now there only seems to be one. There's only one city left, New Jerusalem, which is in the Atlantic Basin. So that means there's only 2 cities left in the entire world, and Sanctuary, the hidden city, and uh, New Jerusalem. So they're not quite sure. Our team 6 is not quite sure what to make of all this. But one thing has happened in the past 200 years is that they've seen a boom of scientific progress to now that they actually are living in a bit of a futuristic wonderland. And so, and as far as they can tell, it's the same way over in New Jerusalem. So we are now at this point. They've discovered that there's a number of people, because either because of their notoriety or for other reasons of their own, have been requesting marriages and or donations of sperm and or eggs, depending upon what you have, from the team. And Gandalf has managed to cut a deal with 14% of his group, which has netted him a total of 12,600 seconds, which is the basically the currency of this particular place. Everything is paid for in seconds. So we haven't really we haven't established yet how he's delivering this. Some people said that they were willing to accept the old-fashioned way, and other people just wanted him to deliver it in a sanitary fashion. So that's kind of up for Gandalf to negotiate, and I was kind of expecting to do that not during the session, so that other people got a chance.
Well, we can do that off session. That's not a big deal.
All right. So, anyways, right now the only thing that they've been trying to figure out if they could get back to the portal, and unfortunately, everybody's not so good on on them leaving, because this is a secret location. They were brought here, very, very carefully, in a way that was meant to confuse and their pursuers from the central church and New Jerusalem, but so they themselves, the team, also have no idea where they are. So there are a number of groups that they think might be able to get them out. One group is the people that actually go and help rescue people when they hear that someone wants to escape. They're in the process of setting up their next escape. And of course, they would very much like to go to where these people are from and bring them into sanctuary as well from their survivalist bolt hole that they call IDET. But that's still a negotiation. There's two other groups. One wants to find Zamboni, saying that there's possibilities that he could still be alive, and if not, just like to find out where he went, because after he did his big project, he kind of disappeared. And then there's another group that basically wants to go back to the central church. They want to leave this place, the sanctuary, and return to the to New Jerusalem. Or most of these people have never been there because they were born in sanctuary. But they think that they would like to be envoys. They would like to help set up diplomatic and normative relationships with the central church. Everyone else thinks that basically they're just going to get themselves grabbed and re-educated, but that's still yet to be shown. And then the final group that you're currently interested in, let's see here. No, that was it. Those three. Oh, and there's a toga party that is part of the Zamboni, the search for Zamboni people, the Zambonists, and that's going to be happening in a couple of days. So, anyways, that brings us up to you guys. What are you doing?
They're a little bit wacky.
Yeah, Bruce, this place is a secret city, so if you're outside it, you probably won't have heard of it. Now, I'm wondering why couldn't there be like other secret cities and they all don't know that the other ones all exist?
Well, that's one reason why they were willing to accept your statement that you were from some kind of survivalist bolt hole. But then you turned around and said, no, we're actually from another dimension. And that's when they kind of had a little problem. Because that sounded crazy, dude.
Yeah, okay. I want to look. I know it's an internet search, but I'm going to search the internet, see if somebody found anything that looks like crystals or Tamerlan artifacts?
Well, there might be, some, I mean, these basically look like crystals look like four-sided dice, okay? And there are a variety of colors. So, and there are things such as this, certain cuts of diamonds and gems and things like that that might have been discovered, whether or not they're Tamerlan crystals or not. I think that if they were then you would be looking for some evidence that this thing is, yeah. And you did give them your crystal, didn't you? Because
Yeah.
you basically said that this thing is indestructible, so therefore it is proof that what you say is true. So looking to see whether there are other crystals that may be indestructible might be an interesting search.
Yes, if we can find such things. Maybe maybe they even be on display in a museum, or
Mhm.
maybe some group has them, or if they're on display in a museum, you can just walk by them and they'll start glowing.
So one of the
Well,
things
they would glow for you guys. May not
Yes,
glow for the
right.
people.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and as you found out when you went to some museums, you found out that there are things that people, when they're in school, go to, but generally speaking, they don't. Everyone just kind of looks at everything on what they refer to as the stream, their version of the internet, because then they can see, like, three-dimensional imaging, and they can rotate things, and they can even touch it with, virtual reality type gloves, which they wouldn't be able to do in a lot of cases if it was actually in a physical museum.
so
Right.
one of the things that I recall from like Facebook is people posting pictures of things saying, "I found this in my wall. What is it?" So
Mhm.
maybe you could try something like that. Like, what is? Can you tell me what this is? And
Okay.
you know,
So
oh,
Ken,
it's an old-fashioned potato peeler or something like
yeah,
that.
give, yeah. Okay. Ken, give me a luck check, and also
Okay.
give me a computer use check.
Now, another thing that could be done is checking with geology groups or even a geology professor here in the university.
If there is such a thing, I would assume there is, but
Or even archaeology.
Okay. Luck check is a 1, which I believe would fail since you want high.
Right.
And computer use, I don't have any computer use. So let's see what I get
Okay.
here. That would be -2, so that's a 3,
And the D6 minus 2 as well.
that's including the D6,
So
which had a
you
5.
basically have come up with nothing recently.
Yeah, well, I don't really.
Okay.
I mean, I know what computers are, and I
Right.
can
Eh,
sort of use them, but I'm not really an expert on them. So
right.
I'll
Okay.
go to the other members of party and say,
So,
anybody better
right.
at searching for the stuff than me?
Right. So Chen Wei was trying to get this information, and he basically didn't get anything that jumped out, and it seemed like it was something he wanted, because yes, there are, there are gemstones and various things like that that people have found. Okay.
Well, I'm not good with either of those either.
Okay. Is there anybody
But,
who is good
but
at it?
like I said,
uh,
we
I'm
can
gonna
look for a
Let Gandalf
geologist.
talk.
I'm going to describe this to the data buddy, and I asked the data buddy
No,
to look
no,
for it.
no, Ken, let Gandalf talk.
Okay.
We can always talk to a geologist or an archaeologist that probably teaches at this school.
That's a good idea.
So
Yeah.
that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get in touch with our representative here at the school,
Okay.
our dorm mother.
Oh, her. Yeah. Let's see.
I
Evelyn, I
have
believe.
common knowledge, but not computers.
Yeah, Florence. I'm sorry, Florence.
Yes, Florence.
Yeah. All right. So you want to go talk to Florence? All right, Florence.
Yes.
Yeah. She's she's working, but of course she'll always take time for one of her students. And he says, "Hey, Gandalf," says, "how you settling in? How's it going?"
Well, it's going fairly well. I was wondering, do you have geology professors or archaeology professors here at this school?
Um, we do, okay. However, it is they are primarily oriented toward the expansion and mining efforts of the city.
Oh, that's
But
fine.
yeah, I mean they're not really interested, in anything along the lines of historical geology, but more along the lines of if we find this, then there's likely to find that, and what's the difference between a volcanic rock and the other kinds of rock? I really don't know. She said, not really my thing. But yeah, we have a couple of professors, as you put it. Yes.
Okay. I would like to speak with one that's been, let's just say, around the rocks
That would be
a lot.
all of them. Yeah.
The professor that's on the rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lick poop, paleontologist.
Let me get you. There we go.
Now, above board, we each have a crystal, right? Or was that
No,
just
you have
him?
one crystal. Yeah.
Okay, Jason had the crystal. Okay.
Yeah. There is the basically the person with the most experience. If you look at these various names, is Young Molina.
Alpha's
Okay.
little brother.
And he
Okay.
only has 2 arms.
Only?
Would you mind putting
I
his
got
name
it.
in chat for me?
Oh, his name? Oh, absolutely. There we go.
Lick poop. Paleontologist.
There you go.
All right. I am going to set up a meeting with him.
Okay. All right. So the first thing I imagine you're going to do is send him an email, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you want to say in that?
I am interested in speaking with you about any curiosities that you might have found in rock formations around this area. I am fascinated with the study of minerals and rocks and just wish to pick your brain.
Rock
Okay.
pick. Get it?
All right. And he will respond and say, have you taken the prerequisites for a geology for the geology field?
I have not as of yet, but I am curious.
Okay. He suggests that you do that first, and then he'd be glad to spend some time with you. Otherwise, he's busy working with his students and team, doing the work, his work. So,
Okay, then Jason,
Hmm.
do you have a picture of that rock, of the
Not on
crystal?
me. I mean, I don't really carry pictures of stuff. No, I don't.
Okay.
I think that we have pictures on our computer somewhere.
of the various crystals that you've discovered so far,
Yeah.
yeah, I would think so. It would probably be in a locked, like a passworded directory or something. But yeah.
Right, and I currently gave the IDET computer to the big giant heads. So
To
Okay.
the council.
Well,
Those are
I
big
am-
giant heads.
I
And w-
am going to tell Professor Molina that I am curious to know if he has come across any of these types of stones in his years of study. And I'll send him a picture of them.
Okay.
Is he a funky cold Molina?
All right. Uh, all right. The next message you get is from Noah Galloway, who says, "Hi, I'm Noah Galloway, and I work with Professor Molina.
Intern.
He's asked me to continue this conversation with you until you fulfill the requirements that he gave you." So he says, how can I help you? It might be a TA, might be something else, you know.
Well, I am curious to find out if you or the professor have ever come across any stones that resemble this, and I'll send him the picture of them.
Okay. All right. Let me get. Okay. He says no. I don't recognize anything special about them. They look like um, uh, basically jewelry. Um, is there something about it that would be more distinctive than just their appearance?
They're indestructible.
They're indestructible. Well, then they're obviously not a stone, because nothing nothing material is indestructible.
They generally pass as stones or crystals or
So you
items
say
such
they
as that.
look like crystals, but they're actually something else.
As far
Hey,
as I know, yes.
yeah. Is it possible this is a Zamboni uplift artifact?
That is a good question, but I do not think that they are.
Because
Do you
uh,
know anything about those types of artifacts?
well, not really, because this is not my area of interest. But I'm just saying is that after the big uplift, there were a number of artifacts that were left. Okay, and of course they were gathered up primarily by the Central Church. But I mean, some people use them as religious tokens. And as a matter of fact, is that I think the Zambonis might have a couple of those kinds of things with them.
Okay. Thank you very much. I would also at some point like to speak with you to find out your opinions on the best fields of study to get into archaeology and geology.
Okay. That I would be glad to confer with you on that. So and he basically um, hangs up the phone, and you find that you've been charged 700 seconds for that conference.
Okay.
So what did they say?
That it could be possible that those are Zamboni uplift artifacts and that the Zambonists here
Might have one.
might have a few of those artifacts.
Raises the question of whether Zamboni is actually a fringe person and he disappeared because he disappeared into the fringe path and he used actual fringe crystals for this.
Wasn't Zamboni alive like 200 years ago?
Yeah, so I mean there are fringe-worthy people 200 years ago. I mean, not from your Earth, but if they'd existed for, thousands of years, it could be 200 years ago.
I mean, could it be possible that Zamboni wasn't even human?
Not
Well,
likely,
we have
unless he was a mutt.
Obviously would have looked human.
met aliens.
Alien.
Yeah, but he looked human, obviously. They didn't say he looked anything but human, so.
The aliens we met looked
Normally
human.
in a historical record or a story, you would mention that he looked like an alien or something.
Yes, but he could
But I
have.
mean, there are plenty of humans on plenty of worlds.
True.
Yeah, but we've met aliens that look like humans.
I mean, it sounds like something Walker would do is come and completely ruin an ecosystem, but I don't think he was alive then.
Now, another thing, I was wondering if, even if you couldn't talk directly to a geologist because you're not trained, like maybe there are hobby geology societies.
Rockhounds?
Yes.
Could
Although, if the Zambonists actually have this kind of thing, we may just want to talk to them.
Well, we've been waiting for the pool party,
Yes.
so
Toga party.
toga
you
party.
you have an invite for it.
Yeah, we're waiting for the toga party to happen.
Okay.
Toga.
That's in a couple of days. You guys have been here for a while now.
Anyway, check for hobby geology groups.
And I want to spend a little bit of time exploring the grounds.
Oh, the university?
Yeah.
If you want someone to go with, I'll go with you.
Okay.
I'm not doing anything.
All right.
I figure it would be a good idea to get to know the area that we're going to be staying at for however long.
Unfortunately, I
However
agree.
long we're gonna be here, however long.
Okay.
Are you singing
right,
that, instructor?
Nope.
All right. So when you go and start exploring, you find that the university is essentially it's basically like an office building. Okay. It has it has a number of rooms where people can get together with with facilities. Okay. There are there's a number of performance type hallways, but you also notice that a lot of people just they interact virtually. And they're working on various projects. There are like I said, some of the rooms can be are like meeting rooms. Also, people can go and eat there. There is a cafeterias where there is a lot of variety of food and people, but most people just go in and they get their food and they take off. Okay, there are a few, not too many people actually sit around in that location. If they actually want to sit around, then they go and they go to one of those meeting rooms that we're talking about, and they all get together, eat, and they discuss things in person.
Okay.
So again, there are dormitories for the people that are students. Okay, and there's quite a few of them. I mean, I would say that there's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 30,000 students.
Wow.
So, which is nothing compared to Penn State or University of Ohio. It has like 50,000 students in it and things like that. So,
Mhm.
but the population of the city being what it is, that's a big number of them. So, and not everybody goes the route of going to well, I mean, everybody in a way goes the route of going to a university because it's their way of basically picking a career and getting good at it. There's a lot of people that don't have to be physically there at the university to to basically guide them, and
Mhm.
it's mostly information. Like most of the beginning and intermediary lectures and such, those are all canned. They're all recorded, and so
Right.
you can just basically sit them. Now the labs, we get into the sciences and such. The labs, those are places that that yes, there are actually students there with TAs and things like that. So in the sciences, biology, and things like that, then you're going to see actual laboratories where they do experiments, learning how things actually happen. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, so like I said, there's about 30,000 people who actually live on campus, so to speak, and they interact. Each of them, none of them actually interacts with, except for sports. Okay, none of them actually interact with the majority of the rest of the people. So it's just considered like a big node of the stream. So
Okay.
anyways, so this
Would there
guy
be,
you're trying to talk to, by the way, he actually he is a professor, but he actually apparently he he operates out of a basically a department. It's a government department. It's the government department of expansion and stabilization,
mm,
which which sounds a little ominous, but no one ever thinks twice about it. And he
it kind of makes sense. I mean, they're living underground.
right, right. So, but and there's and this is where, like, the big question to me is how much information is actually available. Are they going to basically have everyone understand what the geological layout is all around the city and stuff? If they did, that might actually identify where the town is.
Mm-hmm.
So that some of that information might actually be, considered secure. But
Right.
talking about, like, what would what's an igneous rock, what's a metamorphous rock, what's a sedentary rock,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. What's what is the center of the planet supposed to be like, and those are all those are things that would be available for anybody to learn.
Bless
Okay,
you.
all right,
I would like to visit uh, a metallurgy lab, though.
okay, all right. Metallurgy, or you want chemistry?
Metallurgy.
Okay,
I I have knowledge in metallurgy, so
I was gonna say metallurgy, so at least you have a fighting chance.
all right.
yeah.
All right, Mike, you kind of like weren't around last session, so let's revisit you and see what you're into right now.
I think his mic is
Are your
shot
mic still not working?
again.
I can't hear you, Mike.
Mike ain't Miking.
Okay.
He's a non-hot Mike.
All right, I'm sorry to hear that. Let's see.
Is
Let's
Mike
see
still
what
reading the book?
is Mike still reading the book? Okay. Um, Remind me, what book was this?
Important here's a who.
Oh, The Life of Zamboni. Well, um, are you a fast reader? As I used to be. Okay. This book takes about 8 hours to just read through it.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and it talks about his, where, a little bit about where he grew up, and anything notable about his schooling and things like that. And he was uh, he was a theoretical physicist, So he was in one of the big universities. So that was, and uh, and there are, there are family. He did have a family, but if you check, none of his family members actually are here in Sanctuary. They're all still part of the Central Church. Um, but there's there is an extensive discussion about how they had to lay out the the generators and to create the standing wave that would then be able to lift the ocean up. And but it's not going to show you like a lot of detail into the mathematics because that stuff is very very obtruse. Okay. Anyways, but and then of course they do mention the fact that after it happened, that it was there was finally he basically disappeared after it went up. Everyone congratulated. He thanked everybody. He's the people asked him to go and go on it go on around the world tour and and basically so everyone could thank him personally, and he agreed to do that. And while he was on a particular leg of his tour, which was China, he basically vanished, and no one there was a search for him, but nothing ever came of it.
Dingo ate your Zamboni.
Right.
So he vanished while in China?
He vanished while traveling to like Shanghai. Yeah.
Hey, I'm from Shanghai.
So it's your
Is
fault.
there? Well, I'm not from this Shanghai. But if he vanished Shanghai, I wonder, um, like, did they say anything about like the circumstances of his vanishing? I mean, maybe there's something I recognize just by the fact that I'm somewhat familiar with, Shanghai from many years ago, but this, is many years ago, even if not that many years ago.
My question would be, is there
Like,
any like popular programming that explores the disappearance of Zamboni? Because like we always have those TV shows,
Kennedy,
the
yeah.
disappearance of so and so,
In search of
in
Zamboni.
search of
Yes.
Zamboni.
And the Zambonius Society is basically the people that have produced it.
Wow.
Except for like older, more obtruse stuff.
So is Leonard Nimoy part of the Zamboni Society?
Roll
Or
for it.
William Shatner?
Well, this is an alternate Earth, so therefore there's always the possibility that his descendants might exist.
Say roll for it. See.
I'm just being funny. For Caitlin's benefit, there was a show called In Search of, and it was narrated by Leonard Nimoy.
I know who Leonard
Yeah.
Nimoy is.
Well, I know you know who he is. I don't know if you know about what In Search of was.
Probably not,
Yeah.
but I do know who Leonard Nimoy is.
And Shatner also had his own.
Yes, he did.
Yep.
So.
And so did Riker, actually. The guy who played Riker did his own, like, what a weird history thing.
Jonathan
Yep.
Frakes, yes.
Yeah, and Jonathan Frakes did as well.
Right.
I think that's kind of funny. But, as far as I know, they all had albums, too.
Yeah.
This is true. I didn't know that Jonathan Frakes was a singer, but definitely
He actually literally plays musical instruments in some jazz band or something like that.
Well, I know that. I didn't think he was a singer though.
No, I don't think he's a singer.
Yeah, the other two actually sang.
Yeah.
Nimoy released a number of albums.
So did
Yep.
Nichelle Nichols.
And she should have. She was a wonderful singer. But anyways, Okay.
I've never seen a
so-
Walter Koenig sings though, which would be pretty
No,
funny.
no. However, I have seen Star Trek: The Commotion Picture, and right in the middle they have an ad for Chekhov's greatest screams.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's great.
Unfortunately, that movie has been lost to time, I believe.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because it was definitely never authorized. You know, and
Let's
she
see, Star
basically, yeah, started. She basically sucked up to Paramount and said, "Please don't sue me." But I got to see it at a convention I was helping to run. So yeah,
It's just for fun.
it was just for fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
But it was the commotion.
The commotionless picture.
it was
Yeah.
instead of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, it was Star Trek: The Commotion Picture.
Which is funny because I called it the Star Trek: The Motionless Picture.
Right. So anyway,
Because
so,
nothing happens in it.
Exactly.
plenty of things happened in this little thingy, you know. So they basically, you know, said that V'ger was basically the same as Nomad from the original series
I
episode.
remember that.
Yes, he says they're like it's a rerun. I am V'ger Nomad. I am V'ger Nomad.
I used to have a T-shirt that said the Society for Wanting to Turn Wesley Crusher into a styrofoam dodecahedron. So
There you go. There was a lot of that going on in the original series.
yeah,
But anyways, okay. So again, once again, if you want, it seems like the best and the bestest source of information about Zamboni is the
is
Zambonius.
Zambonius.
Go figure.
Are they headed up by the Great Zambolini?
No, nobody related to him.
They were
Like I said,
founded. They were founded by
his
Baloney.
entire Zamboni's family was never came to Sanctuary. Though they would be thrilled if one of them had, but that apparently that it did not happen. So they're doing so they don't have any like hidden logs or secret stuff like that. But they basically scoured the stream for anything related to him, and and of course you're welcome to go and get that information for an appropriate price.
Cambolona?
Baloney. Zamboni baloney.
Oh
And
shit.
baloney.
I'm gonna go drown myself now in my toilet.
All right.
That was bad.
Got the point.
That sounds like something Sir Chuckles would pun people with.
So, all right. Okay, so like I said, is anybody else want to do something, or should we follow Gandalf over to the geology lab?
I'm good for geology lab.
I'm good. In fact, since I had suggested the whole thing, can I come with him?
Metallurgy, you mean?
Metallurgy, yeah.
Oh,
Metallurgy.
no,
No,
no, because it was geology that I suggested. So
I'll go along too because I'm
Okay.
bored. All I'm
Alright.
doing is studying medical texts and trying to clap out of all the lower level stuff.
actually studying history, and
There's a lot of history. There's
and
a
I've
ton
given
of,
the extra Buddhist texts.
right. Yeah, they
The
say
world according to Buddha.
they lost I mean, since it's been suppressed now for a couple hundred years, they lost a lot of the more current thought that is present on Earth Prime and some other worlds. But the ancient texts they still have, because they were able to just put it onto a drive, onto a storage media and take it with them. Because if you're going to leave the central church and come to Sanctuary, you're definitely going to bring everything that you have related to your religion. Just
Yep.
makes sense to do that. All right, so you get
History about the church too. So
right. Okay. So you go into uh, basically you get a ride. Call one of those little things that take you
A
over.
floofer.
Yeah, take you over to the lab, or you can walk there. I mean, it just depends on how energetic you want to get.
I'll walk.
Fine.
How far is it?
Well, we're at the university complex, so across campus maybe at the most.
Yeah, okay. It's from where you are right now. It's about 4 miles.
Okay,
walk.
we'll get an Uber.
Yeah, but that's really, you already know, uh, Gandalf, the suits you're wearing could just literally do the walking for you, and could just
His suit
basically
was made for walking.
Yep.
And
it
that's
could
just
just
what
carry
we'll do.
you along. Yeah.
I'll ride on
Uh,
his shoulders then. Kind of like Big Hero 5 or whatever.
No,
okay.
jeez, not Baymax.
Baymax, that's what it was.
All right. Okay. So, like I
No, I'll
said,
walk with him. I
all right.
mean, it's what the hell.
Okay. Well, anyways, you basically get a thing to show you how to get there, or basically, the equivalent of a Garmin,
My data buddy can just
because you're
pull
going to
up.
be going up and down and
Yeah,
around.
we have data buddies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
My data buddy will pull up the map and
well, usually they just simply give you a lighted pathway on the ground, and you can just follow it.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So you basically run around, and as you go, you occasionally run into groups of people doing strange things, as they do. Some people are, they there was there was a bunch of Hare Krishnas. They were standing on a corner and just basically doing, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rama
Here's a
Rama.
flower. Where's my dollar?
Yeah. They weren't trying. They actually were taking donations of seconds if you were interested in giving them some. But um, and since they were giving out free information, it's like, yeah, they had all this information, the teachings of Krishna and such, that you could, they were giving you basically licenses to it for free. So they were asking for you to make a donation if you found it worthwhile. Do you accept any of those?
No.
I will donate a thought of the day, and that is don't accept wooden nickels.
Okay.
And continue on.
Are you going to take any of this information about Krishna?
Oh, no.
Okay. How about you, Gandalf?
No.
Okay. Chen Wei?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, they're like, oh, peace be with you.
Namaste.
Eat more rice. and off the
Eat a sandwich.
and you keep going. Yeah, and they're pretty skinny. And off you go. And
Yeah. Now, if there's a Pokemon Go group that's meeting up, I might join them to catch a Pokemon or two. But
unfortunately,
Pokemon Go for going for 250 years. Yeah.
well, it also wasn't it probably wasn't invented.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, no Nintendo.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so you finally get to this big door, and has a basically it has a thing on the outside that has a sign, and it basically says, "Warning: lasers in operation. Please, please modify your." Forgot the name of the face shield.
Your
What do they call it?
visor.
Visor. Modify your visors, okay, to basically diffuse that.
Mm.
Okay, and
Okay.
anyways, And
Have my data buddy do so.
okay, they
Jeff, modify for lasers.
yeah, okay, no
Check out that
problem, guy.
knocker.
And you see everything. You see everything. Basically go into kind of like a soft focus. Okay, but then you have things that are in hard focus. That are more of geometric shapes because it's basically sending that information to you, anyways. So basically, it's the overlays are remaining sharp while the actual thing that you're seeing through the overlay is is being dispersed somewhat. So, anyways, so you hit the door, it goes, and it slowly opens up, and inside you see a wonderland of machines and obviously lasers with mirrors, and you see these big machines that are making these crackling sounds, and it's and the there's this, you can hear the sound of air basically being evacuated from the room. Like you're basically in a giant uh, hood, like you'd have over a chemical kind of thing, and that's going on. Anyways, the your buddies basically uh, make a modification, and the ambient sound damps down so that you're not hearing quite as much of the noise that's going on in this room.
Just me and my tinnitus.
Active sound dampening going on. Anyways, you see a whole bunch of people that are working together, doing stuff, and on a number, like I said, probably in the neighborhood of there's 14 different stations in this room. Not to mention some of the bigger machines that are off to the side, not lit up, but not currently in operation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Um, Nobody seems to pay any attention to you other than just to look over at you and then look back to what they're doing.
I asked my data buddy to identify this equipment.
Oh, sure. Okay. So there's a number of things where they're basically doing uh, light refracting through various types of materials. Um, there's some of the bigger machines are metal sintering machines. There's a couple of machines that are actually um, uh, refining ore into something else. Okay, but small amounts, not commercially. Okay, they're and you and there's entire racks of basically supplies of various types of minerals, that are either in pure form or uh, they're in ore form, okay, or such as that. So, anyways, it's and that's primarily what's going on here. They're basically examining the effect of heat and cold and radiation and things like that on minerals, and in combination, pure or in ores. So yeah.
Would there happen to be an old style forge in the room?
Uh, no, because they uh, apparently the machines that do use lasers to do the same, lasers or induction to do the same effect on small quantities of it, are sufficient. So basically,
Gandalf will just shake his head.
yeah, most of the you see people basically holding up things that look like maybe a sapphire. Okay, that's with cut facets on it, and they're putting that, and they're running lasers, which are then split out, and and they're recording the strength of the lasers, and they're taking basically images of them, and they're adding it to their, well, I don't know if you could tell that because that's what they're doing, but possibly taking the results of that by the various sensors and adding it to their own personal feed for the purpose of their studies.
Okay.
All right, this is a lab after all,
Mm-hmm.
So, and they all seem to be each one seems to be operating on a fairly they're working their way through steps of doing things. And
Right.
when you go over to those things, you see they basically you can see on it saying is that samples cost, each of those samples that they're working with costs a certain number of seconds. However, they have this thing that's called, there's a recycling place as well that will give you credits. So depending upon how much you essentially destroy in your process, determines how much it actually costs you, your net cost. But they have gold. They have all the elements, including radioactive ones. Okay, and they they have all and lots of things that are combinations of minerals like salt. Probably one of the simplest ones is there's doing a lattice shot of a salt cube, and basically seeing how it's lined up and how adding various minerals to a solution and letting it precipitate out as a salt crystal with impurities will change
Mm-hmm.
its behavior as far as electrical and other types of things. It doesn't get into the geology very much, like you said, because this isn't I'm sorry, a chemistry of it, because this isn't a chemistry lab. You said um, this is a geology lab. So it's
I was going
Metallurgy.
metallurgy.
what's that?
Metallurgy, not
Metal,
geology.
well, still okay, metallurgy. So yeah, it's but what they call metal is actually things that can that have free form electron transfer. So silver, transfers things, and so do uh, uh, and they have these for comparison. As you were mentioning those um, uh, those superconductors.
Right.
Okay, so they have that for comparison as well. But yeah, so like I said, they're talking about you can get yourself antimony, you can get yourself all kinds of mixes of things, and they actually, well, again, you're not getting in the feed and all, if you're going through the study, then they would be talking about how this particular mineral was used in cups, okay, or this mineral right here, which is lead, okay, was also used in cups, and with some it says it says, however, it was a health hazard. Would you like to know more? Sending you off to the biology course line. Okay. Otherwise, and yes, people are working with certain materials. That's where you're getting all that hood type stuff. Where sometimes they actually have to go into an enclosure, to work with some of the materials so that they
Right.
because they're poisonous.
Mm-hmm.
That's also one of the reasons that they don't deal with large things, because the amount of effluent, from, let's say, a forge is considerable.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't see any coal, by the way. Nothing is like coal is not burning in here.
I want to go over to the board and just get a scan on how many different types of minerals that they have listed for metallurgy.
Okay.
How
Well,
many alloys and combinations that they've come up with compared to what I know of back in our own
Okay.
world.
All right. Let me just do a quick check here.
More to the question is, are you looking for anything that we don't have?
Yes,
Okay. Because I mean, you could list a dozen different types of tool steel. So
correct. I'm
Okay.
basically looking for
Yeah.
metallurgy types that we don't have. Combinations, alloys, uh, stuff like that.
Right. So they have all the main alloys. Okay. And as far as in the database is concerned, they have around 19,000. Okay. But they have by base metal, they have aluminum, beryllium, bismuth, chromium, cobalt, copper, gallium, gold, indium, iron, uh, lead, magnesium, manganese, mercury, nickel, platinum, plutonium, as they say. Those are definitely They're pro
You're taking them a little too seriously, in other
they're
words.
taking notes. Why would they think you're lying to them?
Because I'm full of shit.
Oh, they
Well,
don't know that. You know, they're
I know.
so anyways. I mean, but anyways, the so there's so what they said is that uh but if you are serious about wanting to go back, then we would definitely like to enlist your aid, especially those of your of IDET. Is that something that you are willing to do at this time? Have we convinced you that our cause is just and worthy, that you want to throw in your efforts with us?
How far have you ventured out into the world?
Oh, we haven't been able to go outside of the outermost limits of Sanctuary City. It's
Oh,
yeah, we're
Mm.
there is a veritable maze of tunnels and collapsed, especially places that's been collapsed and reordered. Um, the
so you're not even sure how to get back to New Jerusalem then?
Well, this is why we want permission um, from the council to do
Mm.
this. Okay, if they'll give us permission, then they'll take us someplace where we can get into contact with the central church.
What do you plan on using to prove that the religions can live in harmony to them? Because they're going to require some pretty solid proof that y'all can get along here. They're
Well,
Very
not
true.
just going to take your word for it.
we have recorded considerable the practices of many religions that historically would have been at odds with each other, and shown that they are, you know, there are ecumenical societies here at Sanctuary City, and we have, you know, records of those meetings. Um, so, and of course, there's our own faith as well, you know, that we all can speak, you know, about our own experiences, and you know,
How would you make them believe you, though?
well, how can anybody be made to believe anything? I mean, it's,
Right.
you have to trust that, you know, that there's always going to be people that are looking for something more than the status quo. Okay, we're going to say, isn't there more than this? And right now those voices are silenced. Okay, and we want to bring those voices back. If they don't want to take us seriously, if they want to say yes, well, that was all. We would love to get into some ecumenical discussions with the church, and let them stand up and tell us how we're all wrong, so we have a chance to respond to that, and have it, you know, broadcast, you know, and have it broadcast out to the population at large. I
Mm.
mean, even if, you know, I mean, we're Sanctuary City is so small compared to the enormity of all the cities, that even if a millionth of a, you know, one in a million decided to take us seriously and actually start searching themselves, that would be a huge increase to our congregation, so to speak. You know, they would be
Very true.
not connected, but I mean, that would be a great victory for us.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
wherever two of you meet, you'll be there, whoever that might be.
and we
And if
would
you're a
like to.
Pastafarian, wherever two of you eat, he'll be there.
I mean, we believe that once the information gets out, and this and some of this knowledge is no longer suppressed, uh, that we'll end up with congregations that are greater than the congregations we have here in Sanctuary City. Now, if they get squashed, you know, without a chance, then, like I said, then then we'll know it didn't work, and we'll have to send a message back to uh, back to Sanctuary City, saying that our efforts were rebuffed, and it's that other ideas about how to spread, you know, the truth that of Sanctuary City
See that.
will will have to be thought of by following generations.
Aren't you
And
afraid that they will come and seek out Sanctuary City and destroy it, though?
well, they're already trying to do that. I mean,
Right, but if
we've
you
always.
go back, then you could tell them where it is.
I don't know where it is, so I'm sure if that's why we're going to need permission from the council to go and basically take us someplace away from Sanctuary City and deposit us where we can get into contact. You know, I mean, if they could take us close enough to one of the cities that we can try to move in, but I mean, in a modern city, like I said, unless we can run into uh, you know, an underworld group, we haven't had any real conversations with, uh, the council or even the rescue league, as far as, no one's been willing to say how close they could get us to one of the cities. And if there are people, we know that they have agents in the cities. So, but are they willing to risk their agents for us? That's my question. That's the question we all have. How, and that's why, we are continuing to present our case to the people of Sanctuary City, trying to raise, awareness of our plans, trying to make our case. Just we're hopeful that at some point they will agree to do this, and at which point we can then go put our lives and sanity at risk, because we've heard also that there are powerful re-education facilities in the central city that but that could just be a boogeyman.
Mm.
They may not be like that at all. We don't know. That's one thing, and we think it's worth the risk. We've been here for over, our families and everything else have been here for over 100 years. It's time for someone to make the attempt, and we would like to be those someones, and we'd like you to join us.
Well, I'm not really sure. I'll have to think about that. I mean, that's
If not you, perhaps other people from IDET, because I don't, how many people are in your sanctuary, in your survival base.
um I'm honestly not sure. We have a number. There's quite a few.
There's currently about 5,000 active Fringeworthy.
Well, about 5,000 plus or minus 5,000.
Uh,
Actually, there's not that many, but that's what they're estimating
I'm thinking support people, so
by plus 16. They're expecting that to be around that. Right now, there's, as far as teams are concerned, there's only like a couple hundred of active. But if you include all the service people and all the people that are supporting you guys, and if you also include, the people that are in the Alien Corps, then
Mhm.
there's
Oh
probably
God, yeah. Well, I didn't even think about that.
probably close to 1,000. But
But I
there's a
mean,
lot.
as far as support personnel and everything else,
Yeah,
I'm
there's a
just
lot of
throwing a number out
Fringeworthy.
there.
Yeah, there's a lot of Fringeworthy that refuse to be explorers.
Hmm.
They just they said that's not for me.
No, I like being
I
a
feel
ditch
that way
digger.
sometimes too.
But they're willing to, be support personnel and help, like the whole trucking corps. Those are all Fringeworthy people, but they only go on. They consider, having to deal with fringe pirates and weather on the fringe path is enough of a risk. They don't want to go through portals and get stuck there, or other types of weird things that happen.
I gave it a
Fair
lot
enough.
of thought myself.
Yeah. And
I mean,
some of them are too young or too old to be
mhm.
explorers, at least in the eyes of IDET.
Oh yeah.
In the eyes of the IDET.
But that, someone who's 60 years old can still drive a truck.
Yes, I could.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Anyways, so and by the way, they're feeding you a steady diet of delicacies and cakes and
Oh,
finger food and stuff like that.
Yay!
okay.
Cucumber sandwiches.
Bruce, they want us to go with them somewhere.
They would like you to join them in their attempts to convince the council to let them and as many of you who wants to go, be taken outside of sanctuary, hopefully near one of the cities, and dropped off so they could try to infiltrate the city and start spreading the information of their religions. They would like to normalize relations between and the church.
Now, I thought there was only one sanctuary city and one New Jerusalem.
Well, not that information isn't actually known to everybody. Okay.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, we don't even know that because he let that slip.
Yeah, I kind of
Oh,
let
I'm
that slip.
sorry. I'm sorry. I thought
In the
we knew that.
introduction, he let it slip, and I'm like, oh,
All right.
okay, that
Okay.
confirms a
I
thought.
thought we
Yeah.
knew that then. Okay.
Yeah, the people
No, we
the people in Sanctuary City think there's like 5 of these giant cities,
Right.
Oh, okay.
with
Cool. Yeah.
billions of people living in them.
Yeah. Buck and Wilma live in New Chicago. Fine.
right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, it'd be good exploring. I don't see why we shouldn't do it. We're here to
Okay.
explore.
All right.
I haven't made a decision yet, so I would have to give it some thought.
Okay.
I mean, we're already on kind of shaky ground with the council as it is now, and we just got here, so they're probably not going to want to say, "Oh, well, go ahead and leave."
They already think
Yeah.
we're crazy, so.
Well,
Yeah, and they already assume we're spies, so
yeah. You guys have
I'm
been
more inclined to say stay on good terms with them.
Well, you guys
Well-
have been pressing for the idea of them letting you go back to Veliki Nova's Grove, which is where.
well,
the
we've
portal
only mentioned it. I
Right.
mean, is it possible to do that?
Well, these people
Hypothetically.
obviously can take you up to the surface and various locations anytime they want to.
They
Okay.
can. I thought they said they've never left the city.
No, not these people. The
The rescue
council.
team.
Yeah,
Oh
and the
yeah,
rescue
right.
teams. Okay, they. I mean, it's not. You're not You are only physically restrained here in the sense that if you go too far afield of the city, you're basically going to be lost in a maze of tunnels and and possibly die of hunger and thirst because if
Right.
Well, Jason, I sure hope it takes you a while to make up your mind because every night I have a very successful date and I'm very much enjoying it.
Yeah, those of you who are taking people up on their offers to to have your sperm are definitely enjoying your nightlife.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm
Well, I guess
finally
it's a
not
good thing.
unlucky in love anymore.
I guess it's a good thing Jason and Angel are going to a toga party tomorrow night, so.
yes.
Hey, I'm
Toga, toga.
At least
Yeah,
Jason and
so,
Angel
yeah.
are. Not sure about anyone else.
I got my
Yeah.
tank top, my toga, my laurel
Since
wreath, and my jar of
people
mustard.
don't usually wear togas, so
And off
Oh,
where
going
did
come
they
on.
get the idea? Just like
Don't be
looking
a-
at
It's in the
old
historical
videos, or
documents. Yeah,
Don't be a stick in
they
the
watched
mud.
Animal House.
It was an ancient Roman. It was an ancient Roman practice, and the Catholic Church, because it is Roman.
Don't
so
be
the
a
Yeah.
church
stick in the
likes
mud,
togas.
Chen Wei.
Well,
Yes.
I did not get to see it until there was glasnost. They finally allowed it inside once Lech Walesa took power. Oh, that was good. I
I say
enjoyed it.
what?
Our country was communist growing up, Kenway. We were communist, and then democracy came, and the Western societies were able to bring their culture to Poland.
Okay.
Well, I can tell you for a fact that togas are a pain in the butt to wear.
Yes,
Well,
they
I do
are.
not. I do not have the legs for it. I do not know about you guys.
They seem very easy to manage in Caligula. So, but
Well, you have
Okay.
9 yards of wool that you kind of wrap around your body and then throw part of it over your shoulder and then hold the rest of it in your hand as you walk around.
Well, well,
So-
Caligula had Helen Mirren, who
Yeah.
holds up
I
a
think you're
toga very well.
I think you're thinking. Well, okay, yeah, you're thinking of Caligula that was in. What was his name?
Malcolm McDowell.
No, that well, Helen Mirren was not in Malcolm McDowell's movie Caligula.
Oh, okay.
He was in the other one, the
Alrighty.
I Claudius.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, she was
wait,
definitely
no.
She
in that.
looked
Malcolm McDowell was Caligula in the one movie.
Yeah, in the
IMDb
movie
every day.
Caligula.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're talking about yeah.
I'm
Okay,
talking
got
about I Claudius, and Helen
yeah,
Mirren
Helen
was
Mirren.
definitely in
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
so yeah, there was mostly a cast of Europeans, with with the exception of John Gielgud, who had one scene. Well, not he was basically there, for like one day, and he was gone from the movie.
And he
Okay.
was really pissed that he was in the movie afterwards.
Yeah, I think they pitched to him as being more of a intellectual film.
Right.
I think he liked being Hobson better.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. So so that's your thing, and they basically give you all each of these the greetings are going away sayings from each of their different religions, and you get lots of hugs, and they let you take goodie bags back with you back to the dorms and such, and they just basically say just we're in the stream, and, we'll be checking in with you and give you a little bit of time to process what we've said, and we hope to.
So goodie bags like printed matter.
I was actually referring to the food, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
but the
Okay.
information that about their particular religions and stuff, that's all very much available on the
Jack Chick, futuristic Jack Chick tracks.
yeah. But
Why did you say
yeah,
that?
they're all the information that they're in their particular belief thing, that stuff's all free because they want everybody to read it, and such, so. But if you go to their various websites and such, you can see that there's an awful lot of message chains that have been locked because of people basically saying, you're a bunch of idiots. And yes, I know. And and you're just gonna get yourself, eliminated. So it's what a waste of what could be a useful and productive career kind of thing. So, anyways, and not more than one person who's basically calling them quitters.
Quitters.
Yeah.
Splinter.
All right. So should we pick it up on the toga party?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Toga.
All right. Let me see here.
I'm having too much fun with that.
Okay.
Agreed.
So am
All
I.
right. So all right. So basically, they've rented a big hall so they can all be there. Though of course some people are going to be watching remotely, and they're charging them for that, by the way.
Mhm.
Because I mean, it's some people are expecting something racy to happen.
Sure. I
So
have
they
no
said,
idea what to expect. I'm just looking forward to it because it sounds unlike
right,
anything I've seen so far on this world. So,
right,
Right.
Yep.
and I'm all about the little
Okay.
Pat?
Go ahead.
No, Pat.
Yo.
Okay.
I think
Being in a
Jason
toga
froze.
reminds Mike of being in SCA, the kind of garb we had to wear in SCA.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. Tunics and stuff like that, yeah.
It reminds me a bit of a martial arts robe, except it's a lot, longer and like drapier.
Are you actually
Mm.
Well, they're
joining
not
us,
really
Chen?
longer because they only go down to just past your knees. Really,
That
you just
depends
kind
how
of,
Yeah.
like I
short
said,
you are.
you wear
Yeah.
a tunica, which is what they called the shirt, and then you wrap
All
the
right.
toga around you.
All right.
Sometimes maybe secured it with a brooch, but you wound up carrying around a lot of extra material.
Okay.
That's why people who wore togas, it was considered a status thing where you don't work with your hands. So
Yeah.
All right.
You can
So
pull off a toga, yeah.
yeah,
right. So the person you were contacting with was Mamie Evans. At the
meme.
party is also Amos Farrell, Edward
Mm.
Rangel, Jacques Snyder, Lori Hardin, Ignacio Gallagher, Sanford Lyons, Alden Birch, Grady Gibson, Mario Kirby, and Wanda Jefferson, and Ruthie Buck, and finally Tyson Ritter. They are all,
Mm.
you know, and you find out, it's a toga party, but it's apparently it's more like a carnival, okay? Because they have,
Interesting.
yeah, because for example is that they um, like one of them is like sitting in a toga over like a thing of water, of ice cold water, and
You
people
dunk
are
tank.
yeah, and a dunk tank. It's a dunk tank, okay? And
Oh,
people
wow.
are and they actually have a robot, um, uh, a robot, basically basketball shooter set up, with compressed air, and
Oh, you just
so people there and also people that are watching remotely can basically take control of the gun, the basketball thrower, and try to hit the thing and drop him for a price, of course.
hmm
Sure.
And uh, they have a big uh, they have a number of things, dishes that were eaten back in Roman days and other stuff like that. It's
Oh, I'd
it's
like a bag of otter noses,
it's
please.
really, yeah. This is really a very kind of an eclectic kind of party. Other than them dressing in togas with laurels on their head and they're drinking all kinds of weird stuff, you know. So you come in and the first thing that happens is that everything, your visors, suddenly, change, and everything takes a kind of a psychedelic hue. So it looks like there are
Mm.
clouds of pink and purple, and a couple of them that looks like they've got like little lightning things going on inside them, seem to be floating around the room and into view and such. Um,
Mike says over the comms, "Welcome to Yellow Submarine."
I was just gonna say, it looks like our visors dropped acid for us.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
fun, yeah.
Oh,
right.
kidding.
They do have a now, I mean, the Zamboni is a well respected person, so they're not doing anything, in uh, to in any way say anything bad about Zamboni. I mean, they're if anything, they're saying, they're having talks going on. They're basically being interviewed by various papers and things like that, saying, what do you like a crystal?
Hmm.
I pay much closer attention to that then.
Okay.
As do I.
If
Hmm.
we walk close to it, does it glow?
As a matter of fact, it glows blue.
Oh my goodness. I gotta have
Uh,
this.
I wonder how many seconds it costs.
I'll
If it's
steal
for
it.
sale, yeah.
I was going to say I'd steal it.
Everyone's surprised when that happens, by the way. Suddenly you're seeing streamers saying, hey, look what's happening over at the artifacts. One of them started glowing blue.
I walk back until it stops glowing, and then I walk forward until it does glow, and I take a step back and forth a couple times.
So you want to show off that it's happening?
No,
because
well,
of you.
I don't want to show off. I really more want to confirm that it is what it's doing.
But what you're actually doing is you're basically drawing attention to yourself as someone who's making this artifact glow.
No, he is doing the hokey pokey.
The hokey pokey.
He needs to turn
He turns himself around.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are you gonna sing it, Chen Wei?
No.
If he
You put
wants,
your left leg
then
in.
I guess he isn't.
You put your Chen Wei in. You put your Chen Wei out.
you put your way in,
You
and
put
you
your
take
Chen
it
Wei
out.
in, and he turns all about.
You do
Okay.
All right.
Now, Bruce, what do we know about different colored crystals? Like, how good is a blue crystal?
Well, I know that they increase in ability with different colors. We only have the basic maintenance style.
You have the brown crystal, I believe.
Yeah, we have the poop crystal. So, which is like the lowest form of crystal. And this is I don't remember the tiers of them because it's been a while since I've read it. But
well, if someone wants to pull it up, you can.
I'm going to use. Well, I was going to say I could roll on my crystal use, which is D6. I haven't been able to raise it any higher because I don't have a better crystal than that. A Fringe Tech Savant.
Yeah, but see, I want you to basically, look it up and tell me how far from the bottom it is, and you're not doing that.
Let me take a look. I got it right here. You put your Chen Wei in.
That's 61 to 63.
Yeah.
Okay, Chen Wei Hokey Pokey is what it's going to be
Chuck
called.
has looked it up.
The Chen Wei Hokey Pokey.
Okay, I looked it up. Do you want me to say?
Okay, you were faster than me because I was trying to find a freaking index.
Right.
And why would I look for an index in one of these games?
Okay.
Because they exist in the D20 version.
All right.
I pulled up the 92 version. That's why.
Okay, I've got it in the Savage Worlds version on page 81.
You have crystals in the Savage Worlds version?
Sure.
Yeah, blue is actually pretty high. It's 3 steps higher than your brown crystal.
Oh, according to the D20 version, it's 7 steps higher.
Well,
oh yeah, okay. Wait,
it's level 7, but brown, which you have, is 4.
Okay. Oh, we actually have a maintenance one. Okay.
Yeah.
Limited access maintenance. Yeah.
Okay, that's why I was thinking.
Security.
Yeah, those are the ones that were used by the Tamellan engineers.
I'm excited.
Okay.
At least originally.
Okay, Bruce.
Yes, sir.
During Fringeworthy training, they told us about crystals. What is the highest crystal that we've seen back at IDET? They have a rainbow at IDET?
I would say not yet.
Okay.
So,
what kinds of crystals have they showed us?
Actually, the highest level one that you're currently aware of is the red crystal. So this is one you're not familiar with.
We must add it to our collection. Shiny.
According to training, this crystal is higher than the ones back at IDET.
Well, it's not any of the ones that they have back at IDET.
It's not any of the ones they have back at IDET. We are the first people to find this sort of crystal. It's a new kind, Chen Wei.
I'm going to pick it up.
Oh, no, you're not.
Don't think they're
Oh.
going to let you do that.
Is it behind glass or
Yes,
something? Or
yes, it's behind like some kind of lucite or something.
I asked someone, can I see that? Can I
Sure,
hold
just
that?
look right. Hold it.
Yes, sir.
Who are you? Oh, yes,
I'm Bishop.
you're the guys from IDET.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes, that's us.
Not everybody who's there was like what were you communicating with? Remember, you were talking primarily
Right.
through the head person. So they're like, I don't know. Hey, see here, what was her name again?
Of course, it doesn't actually say what it does, but the specifics of the colors. But let's see. It does.
Mamie Evans. Mamie Evans was
Mamie.
the person you were contacting. He says, "Hey, Mamie, these people, your guests, from IDET, want to touch the artifact that just started glowing." She says, "What?" Because she was busy doing other things, all of a sudden she starts seeing, they're like, "Whoa, what happened?" And people start yelling at me, not yelling at her, but basically everyone starts talking to her at once. And she says, "Okay." She says, "It's glowing. It's never glowed before." And they're like,
Now.
yeah, it's glowing, and it seems to be glowing when that short guy over there, the Asian guy, keeps getting closer to it.
He is special.
She's like, "Wow, that's amazing." Okay, well, she basically goes to this. Hold on a second, and then you see that the cost per minute for the um, for the feed to the party just doubled. Yeah, just doubled.
Wait, someone's selling us being at the party?
Yeah, it's everything.
We get a cut?
Apparently not.
We can negotiate. Someone can
I
negotiate.
think someone's. I'm gonna delete my feed then.
But
well, may I? I mean, I'm very interested in this.
okay, she says, all right, well, it's okay. Just so you understand, though, is that all these artifacts belong to our society.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So, so she goes over and she pulls out a key and unlocks, a door behind the display cabinet, and she reaches in underneath, and she see her pull the thing down, into the cabinet and bring it back up on top, and it's still locked down to this piece of metal, like it's got grips on the sides. He says, "Okay," so she says, "Be careful with it."
Oh, of course. Well, you
Yeah.
can't break them.
Well, yeah, because it's basically it's solidified energy. It's from the Zamboni uplift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
That
we all
explains
we all know that.
I take hold of it.
Yeah.
Not by the plate, but by the sides of the key.
Okay.
And obviously it's glowing. Yeah, that would be funny. It's a fake.
Someone stole it. Yeah.
And
yeah.
and I kind of like try to attune myself to it a little bit, and then I'll do the little beam of light out of it.
Okay.
And
all right.
What do I need to do? I need to roll stuff for some of these?
Yeah, you have to roll your crystal use in order to actually cause that to happen.
Oh, okay. Shouldn't be too difficult. Because I've been playing with ours for a couple years now, it seems like.
Yeah, Bruce.
I haven't put more dice into it because we had such a low level crystal. But now that I'm reading this in the D20 version, the level 4s actually do a little bit more than what I thought they did. Because unless it's different, I mean, I went.
Bruce, according
Yes,
to the
sir.
Savage World version, all the crystal types were listed in Captain Oates' journal.
Oh,
So we would be
all right. I'll take it back then.
13 crystals were described in Captain Oates' journal.
I really wish he had published the Captain Oates' journal.
Yeah, well,
That would have been
That would have
cool.
been neat.
Yeah,
That would have been
you-
very cool.
yeah.
Okay, I rolled a 6 and it explodes, and a 5, so I got an 11.
All right, so you should be able to make it do something.
I'll do the beam of light first.
Okay. All right. You know, the
Yeah,
light
let's
comes
see.
out of it in the direction you wish it to go.
Well, according to this chart, I could actually instantly teleport back to the portal if I wanted to.
Which chart?
The one in the D20 book.
Well, that's not in the Savage
I
Worlds book.
don't think so.
It says all time to transfer automatically return to portal.
Where are you reading that?
In the crystal uses,
I'm looking in the crystal key.
page 63.
Oh, crystal uses?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that has a bunch of DCs on it, which is not.
I see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the 4. This is a 7.
Right.
So you're saying there's one of them that says teleport?
Go to just below. Well, it says all. There's a tuning. You get a 1% per year chance to be attuned and become Fringeworthy. And all
good.
below that is time transfer, DC 35, automatically return to portal.
Okay, yeah, that's what you do is that that's okay. That's a very high check.
Yeah, I realize
so-
that.
Right,
The flashlight is only a DC of 5,
right.
and it lasts 4 to 20 hours. D4
Right.
plus 20 hours. So
So I mean,
All right, yay.
right. I mean,
unless I turn it off.
but not every crystal use function is known. So I'm just saying is that you'd have to at least roll a 35 on your crystal use check, and you'd
With
have
the
to know-
D6.
with the D6, yeah, and you'd have to know that was something that you wanted to do.
I think the
that you could
35
do.
is from a D20, so you might
It
want
is,
to
it is,
adjust
but it's
that,
still going to
but-
fall probably pretty much in the same area.
All right.
Because a 40 would be really hard to do.
Yeah, well, they all are hard to do, but if you're if you have a D12 in it, plus whatever the numbers are, okay, then if it explodes, then you have a pretty good chance of getting at least a 25.
So I'm going to try another function, so it's going to cost me 1 point of temporary constitution damage. So I'm guessing that's spirit.
Yeah, no, it's
Or vigor.
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 It's vigor.
Yeah, it makes you want to throw up.
Okay, I got a 14 on that one. Well, what would be something that would be stunning to the people other than stun?
Turn invisible.
It doesn't do that, does it?
Well, the
Is
offensive.
the force
I'm gonna-
shield? Is the force shield visible?
That would be a pretty big thing. I would say that all these things, most of these things, by the way, the crystal uses they change the portal. So when you go through
Right.
them, these things happen. So, I think generally speaking, the teleportation thing is like you set it up when you go through the portal, then however many minutes later, it'll automatically return you to the portal. So it's not something you just do with the crystal in
Right.
your hand.
Well, like I said, I'm not super experienced. I mean, I
Yeah.
only know a couple of things, like the torch and the
Right.
flashlight. So
Yeah,
I don't know if I really want to. I could do the cutting torch, but what would I do with it?
you could use it to cut through one of the tables or something. Some
All right.
some
You
of
have
the things are-
any food, like you make your burger well done or something?
Yeah, is there like a roast or something, or like
Yeah, there's food.
something
There's
that I
definitely-
could
Yeah, there's
I
definitely food
actually
here.
ask the leader of the group. I say, "Would you mind if I destroy something, like a
Uh,
chair
like
or
a chair.
a
Oh,
plate? How about a plate?"
okay, sure.
So I hold up the plate
Uh-huh.
Did,
and I
Plastic
focus
plate.
on it.
did
Is it a
it
Okay.
plastic plate? Oh, that's not
It's
that impressive.
well,
destroy the
it's got a nice sheen on it, makes it look like it's made out of like
If
gold
I
or
could find
silver.
some marshmallows, you could roast them.
And I'll activate the cutting torch ability
Okay.
and cut through the plate with it.
Ooh, very impressive.
Ooh,
Yes.
they don't
They're
sound
all like,
impressed.
Mike says someone's been
everyone
practicing.
goes, ooh, and people are like, how is, how is he disrupt? Some people are like, is he disrupting the the solidified energy? He says, if that got out of control, it could blow up the entire city.
I
Yes.
rolled
There's
another
a
11.
lot of cautionary things suddenly starting to race across.
Oh, like exclamation points over people's heads.
Oh, there you
They're
go.
like
Yeah,
going.
sure. Yeah.
They're like people are saying this is really dangerous what he's doing, because of where the energy is coming from.
Right.
Ah, I see. That's where they're thinking.
Yeah, they're afraid that you're basically taking something that's solidified energy and causing it to become unstable so you could do this, and that it could become totally unstable and blow up, and something, the the godlike power that was able to lift the entire ocean off the planet, could easily take out a section of the city, if not the entire city.
So I roll a 17 and I detect Fringeworthy. And I don't know what kind of range that is, but that's
It depends on how well you do.
I rolled a 17.
17. Okay, well that's
Uh,
good for.
What's the Savage Worlds one say? You just have to
the
make a
Savage
success on a
Worlds on
D4,
a
right?
raise. Right. On a raise, it's about 1,000 feet.
Yeah,
Ah,
so it's about 1,000 feet.
so I got 2 raises at least.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
there's improved that lets you go further. Because Savage World does
Expert
it.
Brian Fringeworthy.
Slightly different,
That
right?
goes up
Yeah.
to, on a second raise, Expert Brian Fringeworthy goes up to 10 miles.
Okay. And yeah, so yes, you're getting a sensation that there actually is somebody who's fringeworthy here in the in not here in the room, but
Right.
somewhere
Somewhere in the
within
city.
the range that you're able to pick up.
Well, that's curious. And I'll sub-vocalize or I'll just send over my buddy to my other teammates. There's somebody Fringeworthy within the range of what is detected.
nice.
Well,
Interesting.
you got like a million
Hmm.
people here, and it's like one in like some number. It's less than a million. So
1 in
100,000
100,000.
anyway.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
theoretically, there's 10 people who are fringeworthy in this
was
town.
there actually a million people here? I didn't think there was that
You
many.
don't know.
We don't know. Yeah.
They're not
But
passing
you've
that
got
information
one.
All
around.
I'm saying is that there's one's not that far away.
Yeah.
Okay.
While he's
Big,
doing that, I want to look at the other artifacts that they have here.
Maybe do any of them look familiar?
Okay.
Let me look at the Fringeworthy Player's Guide real quick.
okay.
Maybe we can all look at them.
Sure.
69. Ooh. "69 is divine."
Good
Okay, Cole.
stuff.
That's from MASH.
Still.
Handy's dandy, but liquor is quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. There is a dealy bobber.
Hmm.
There is see here, what is it? There's something that looks like some kind of a wooden model of something that is labeled as being a one of the energy emitters, but it's a model. Okay. What? All right. So basically, there's something that looks like a slinky. There's something that looks like some kind of foam. There are a number of they look like inside of a container. It looks like a bubble, like a like a soap bubble. So obviously, it's been there a long time. There's some kind of device that is described as being an expanding water toy. There is a music box. A lot of these things are things that supposedly belonged to Zamboni.
Oh.
But there are a few things that, that for example, the magic foam. That's is this listed as saying is an early an early thing that was used in Zamboni's lectures to explain how energy could be solidified.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
Very interesting.
There's a bunch of things that are there.
Are there any things we recognize as being something other than what they claim to be?
Well, how many things do we recognize is the question. How many actual artifacts have we seen?
Well, okay, I'm not saying any of them are Tamelan artifacts, but for example, the slinky, I think, should be something that looks like what you think it is.
All right.
Okay. There, like I said, there's the soap bubble in a case. There is something that looks like some kind of a magnifier. Like basically a lot of lenses all put together. You're not sure what the expanding water toy is. The music box supposedly plays his mother's favorite song. And and they say is that this may have actually been a gift to him, not something he made. Okay, so there's a rather geometric looking tent that is also inside a case. Okay, so and one thing that just looks like plastic hand clappers, that you just shake back and forth and they slap their hands together.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, supposedly used by Zamboni during one of the famous conference where he actually announced his discovery. So we got a blue crystal, we got a slinky, we got plastic hand clappers, a geometric tent that's not has is it's curved. It has no like hard corners or anything like that. Okay, there's um, uh, the foam object, which could be something. There's the soap bubble in a case. There's a magnifying glass. There's that expanding water toy, the wooden model of one of his Zamboni emitters, and the music box.
Angel,
Bruce,
get a picture of that emitter.
Okay.
Bruce,
Yes, sir.
you said that one of the things was how he explained to his class how energy could be solidified.
Yes.
That I want to study.
You want what?
I want to
You want
study
to
that.
study that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sure. Just write it down. I'll
Soap
just mark
bubble
here
Okay.
that Mike is studying this.
Is that the soap bubble or the
No, that's the magic foam.
Oh, I'm laughing
Okay.
about the soap bubble.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
laughing about the soap bubble too.
Because
Yeah.
Do I think any of this is fringe technology, or is this all just pretty?
It's hard to say. I mean, and like I said, there's weird things that have been discovered from the Tumeler, like there's the comb that changes your hair as as you draw it through, and you can change it as you do it, giving you all kinds of different colored hair sections.
So
all right?
Fringe Tech Savant says I have the uncanny ability to figure out how to use alien technology that's found in the fringe paths.
Okay.
It just gives me a +2 to my smarts roll to figure out how to use or the purpose of a single alien device.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
the foam thing, I'm going to look at that with
All right.
I mean, it's not something you could study, really. It's just a foam thing, right?
Well, I mean, it's certainly been examined a lot over the years.
Right. But I mean, I'm going to focus on that and see if I can figure out if it has a purpose or if it's a device of some sort, or is it
Mhm.
just a foam piece that's been carved into a model of what to use as an explanation, I guess.
Right. Um, no, uh, it actually, go ahead and make your roll.
Okay.
hi, Charlie.
I'm going to Benny that because that was a terrible roll. I got a 5 and a 1. So.
Oh, jeez, hello, Charlie.
Yeah, I definitely would be good to Benny that.
Does anybody want a horse?
Uh,
No.
my
Okay, a
wife already
17.
has one. Me.
Thank God for Hero Dice. I got a 17.
17. Okay. That actually is a standing wave artifact where basically it's actually something that rather than um, that it's essentially empty space except for the thing where the foam connects, and those are actually energy. That's actually crystallized energy making the foam. So it's like one of
Okay.
those things, like you said, can't be destroyed.
Right.
And it's an example of the shape that it could be, and the fact that it's made of smaller things inside of it. So therefore, that provides redundancy and um, it's not just one thing. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So I look
Okay.
over at Mike and say, "Yup."
Yeah. Now the soap bubble is just an example of where you can have something that's basically blown out of a chemical, and it basically is a soap bubble, except that it's been basically in there for 150 years now in this case.
It's the oldest
That's-
living bubble from SpongeBob.
There you go.
The-
That's
What?
what the picture is that I started.
Unlike the oldest living chicken sandwich from Wendy's. Yeah.
Oh my word.
I look over at
Twinkies
Mike and
drop
say,
ball out.
"This is actually a device."
What makes you think
Yeah,
so?
it looks like a device. What does it do?
It's kind of the whole energy thing. It's actually not one thing; it's many things.
Like the
So
bubble?
so it's like what they say Zamboni was doing, except it's a fridge thing.
Exactly.
What Zamboni's doing.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the fact that it has empty space in it means that you could actually build something out of this Zamboni energy thing. You could literally build a ship out of it.
Yeah.
And therefore,
Oh my
it would
word.
be indestructible in the sense that the outer side of it would, the ship part of it would be indestructible. Now, whether or not anything that can penetrate inside of it would or not, is this waterproof or whatever? You don't know.
right.
But I'm just saying is that it theoretically could be made. You could make an indestructible object that could be hollow
So,
on the inside. You could
my-
actually go
my-
inside of it.
Theory of this thing is that this is what's actually holding the oceans above us, just on a massive scale.
Some form of this, yeah.
Some form of
Yeah,
this
that-
on a massive scale is actually what's keeping the oceans above the earth.
I've been wondering about what was keeping them up there, and this would seem to do the trick.
Yeah,
What?
you basically have made a shell and pushed it away.
Plot twist. It's the bubble.
It's the bubble. It's the
Pop
thought.
the bubble
It's
and
the thought.
everything.
It's
Suddenly,
the thought
suddenly,
bubble.
suddenly an eyeball appears in the bubble and rotates into view and then rotates away.
I scream and throw it. No, I shriek
Yes.
like a little girl and throw it. No. Okay, I think we found our group that we want to hang out with because
Oh yeah.
No, definitely.
they've got some
Yeah.
things here that need further.
Yeah, but they probably have no idea how. They
Yeah.
have no idea how to make it.
Still.
Well, I'll give it some thought.
I mean, the math is really, really up
Are
there.
there? Do any of them have? Do any of the other things have like, or even that one have like indentations that a crystal might fit into?
No,
No.
not at all.
Now, this is an adaptation of the technology, I think.
Yeah,
Of the idea of
most of these things are just things. They're just
right. I think this is an
artifacts of
example
his
of
life.
solidified energy. Is the
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
He said that's how he would demonstrate it to his students. He would use this thing.
Right.
We need to know more.
Yes,
Everybody thought the crystal was another example of that, something that was definitely solid, but it turns out that was a Tanolan crystal.
Well, what we need to do is get, if there are recordings of the Zamboni lectures, he would have to explain this to
Well, I
his
think
students.
the church would have that.
Yeah.
Well,
these
then
folks.
that's our next stop.
Do we ask the data buddy? Are there recordings of Zamboni lectures?
There are the big announcements of Zamboni, but as far as lectures per se, no. That was information that was held by a very close and highly educated group.
Are all
I'm going to play.
deceased-
I want to play my card,
Uh-huh.
which is play this card when attempting a skill you do not possess. You may substitute any other skill you possess for the actual skill when making the roll to see if you succeed.
No.
Yeah.
And I actually want to use it to figure out how to utilize this, how to work the styrofoam thing. Like, can I make it expand itself and get larger, or can I contract it and make it smaller? I'm not sure. Would that be? I don't even know if that would be a skill.
Seriously, Jason, I mean, we're talking about something that is the result of this process. It's you're
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's like looking at the tiles on a shuttle and trying to deduce how those tiles were made.
I don't want to know
Yeah, I
how it
can
was
see
made. I
that.
want to know how to make it work, I
Well,
guess.
this is an end result. This is the
Oh,
result of that.
this is it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is something he made with his crystallized energy technology that he was doing, and it's something he could hand to people who didn't believe it was real, and they could take it and put a lighter under it, and they could stomp on it, they could take a take a laser and fire at it, and the laser might go through it, but it theoretically wouldn't destroy it,
Hmm.
and things like that. So it was just
Okay.
something for him to basically show people this is a real thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I gotta cut out because I got work in the morning. So I will
Okay.
talk to everybody
All right.
later.
Well, we need to
Yeah.
stop anyway.
I'm
Yeah.
glad.